Ondiro, now welcome to the segment where our mics go off and your voice comes on. Now this week we're talking about the strikes that we've witnessed across the country ever since the year began on health, the health fraternity. Now we've seen them call strikes, call them off again, call them again, and this has destabilized the health sector in the country. Now we are looking at some of your comments and feedback from our social media handle, and we begin with our first tweet where at Ontiri Dan says, the opportunistic Kenyan health workers leaders are at it again. They've chosen this coronavirus pandemic to make sure that they achieve the best out of it by tabling all their needs they've ever had. Can't they wait a little Can't they wait a little until we are past this challenge? Now, let's take an instance of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, to be specific, the health workers under the NMS. If you look at the grievances, it's past, or rather before the NMS. And so when they go on strike, they don't usually know who to direct their complaints to. If they go to the NMS are like, okay guys, we've only been here for a few months, so we cannot fix the problems that were there before us. And this has always brought attention between the Nairobi County government, the NMS rather, and the health workers under that particular county government. And if you look at the others as well, across the country, these are situations where health workers have not been promoted for the past 6 years. So you get into a job position and you're there for more than 6 years. That's something that for me or for anybody, they'd be definitely up against. Now, let's see probably what the next tweet will say. At Sarah Malana says, I'm going to bed sad about the healthcare worker strike. For how long shall we tolerate this? What kind of political will is needed to avert this strike in the middle of a pandemic? I'm sure all stakeholders know what needs to be done. Now, like I mentioned, let's take an example of definitely NMS. They had an agreement, return to work formula, that they signed between the NMS and the health workers under Nairobi County government. But then the implementation now comes in. That's where the problem comes in. You have an agreement, provision of PPEs, promotion of healthcare workers. We have redesignation of jobs, of which it's aligning you to the job that you actually went to school for. And then you have an agreement, you sign it, but then 3 or 2 months later, still no implementation. And this is where the problem comes in. Our leaders, those who are responsible for making sure that these things are implemented, you guys need to take charge and ensure that Kenyan safety is paramount. Our next tweet says, _Stoney says, government officials got nothing to lose. They are hospital and they have private doctors. It's us, quote, Wanjiku, to suffer because we are afraid of them. If we look at the effects that the strike has given us, it's majorly on people who are from Uko Chini, the Wanjikus, like he has mentioned, like _Stoney has mentioned. They're the people who are suffering the most. Because let's take an example of probably KNH. A leader would take their children or relatives, or rather anyone that is close to them who is sick, to Nairobi Hospital. So definitely they don't feel the pinch as much as we people who are the locals feel it. Now, this is why we elect leaders. We elect leaders to make sure that we are taken care of. And then this trickles down to the kind of leadership that we have in the country. Are they responsible enough? Are they taking care of Kenyans? That's a question you should ask yourself. And at Dev's Karaoke says, Kenya's health workers have gone on strike while the country is facing a serious coronavirus situation. Politicians are, however, focused on politics and constitutional changes. If you look at the BBI, the health workers were solely behind it, and in one particular way. If you look at some of the provisions that are part of the BBI, we look at Healthcare Commission, which the health workers are saying this is going to solve some of the health workers' issues that they've had over the years, to be specific in terms of human resources. So if they have this kind of commission, it will enable them to go and streamline some of the challenges that they're having. If it's about promotion, they know exactly where to go to. If it's about resignation of jobs, they know exactly where to go to. But the question is the government prioritizing the wrong thing? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's during a pandemic. And if the government wants to make sure that the leaders, or rather the public, is safe enough, I think most of the resources that should be channeled to, it's towards health, especially, and to be specific, in the fight against the coronavirus. At Lanskisa Susan says, in the current COVID-19 pandemic, attention on health workers' welfare and safety is critical to ensure an effective response and to minimizing the potential for future strikes. This is a discussion that we've had over and over again, the strikes that we've seen through. And ensuring that healthcare workers are taken care of is going to motivate some of the students that probably are still not in the job bracket to be motivated to want to get into that particular job. Now, let's take an instance. If you are a nursing student, and all over the country, from January to December or from January to November, you see nurses striking every single day. Will you have the will to continue doing that particular course, even though some of you call it a calling, but will you have the same zeal and the same will to perform that particular job? I doubt it. And if another pandemic comes, not many people will turn up. So this is one thing that Kenyan government as a whole should ensure that it's taken care of. Now, away from the digital world, we are going to the streets, and this week on Street Talk, we're looking at we're getting personal with how the strike has affected the local mwananchi. And probably this might elicit some of the reaction from you viewers that probably you are not ready for. Let's take a watch.
Wanaambiaje?
Mimi naomba msaidia hao wanakataa. Sasa kushalia anasema kama nataka maiti unachukua lipa pesa sisi lipa alifu ngapi 150. Anakataa hata kutolea maiti yetu.
I was referred to Migori level 5. When I went there, again they referred me to Russia hospital. When I went to Russia, I took around 2 days. Then I was again referred to Kenyatta. So here in Kenyatta I came on 17th. The strike has really affected me because today I was supposed to be taken for theater and that one cannot happen.
Limweka tu maji, hakuna daktari mwenye anaweza amesema daktari leo ni Sunday, hakuna kusaidika. Ukiniambia enda information center uchukue karatasi ya kuingia ndani. Amekataa. Tuliingia hivi, kusimama tu huko mbele asema tokeni hapo, mnasimama nini? Pandeni gari huko, tokeni hapo, ametufukuza. Tumetufukuza jana.
We've been in school for 8 years. 8 years. Mtu akiwa class 1 sasa amefika class 8 honestly. Na mimi bado niko shule. So all we want is graduation. We want to do our exams, we graduate, we go out there serve the community.
A pharmacist is supposed to serve patients. So when you stay in school for 7 years and after 5 years should have gone, should be helping patients, should be saving lives, and they are still keeping us here. It is very unfair to us.
Yangu ni machache kukuambia mgomo inaendelea. Mnaona aje turudi kazini? Haya.
Now, from the conversation that we've had on Street Talk, we've seen a woman giving birth at the gates of Pumwani Hospital. Is that fair? I doubt it. We've seen people denied access to medical services at Kenyatta National Hospital. Is that fair? I don't think so. Now, in line with that, we are getting to the last segment of this show, which is Debrief Take Home. Now, I've covered the events, the health worker strike for the past 5 to 6 months, and I have witnessed the sides of the health workers, side of the government, side of the county government, and from the look of things, it's a cat and mouse kind of game. And for how long are Kenyans going to suffer just because a few individuals cannot come to the table and come to an understanding and end such particular strikes? Now, this is a conversation that is still ongoing. Right now, it's a case that is in court. And my question again, for how long are medical practitioners, the doctors, the nurses, going to issue strike notices, go on strike, then be issued with court orders to stop that particular strike? It's all about all the individuals involved coming together and coming to an understanding and ensuring that the public is kept safe, especially right now that we have the COVID-19 virus. Well, you can always contact us at my colleagues Ondiro Oganga on Twitter, at Metropole TV KE on Twitter, and don't forget to use the hashtag Metropole Debrief. And again, you can always send us an email on metropoletv@metropole.co.ke. And don't forget, you can also contact me on Twitter at Vin Odhiambo. Well, that's it for Debrief this week from the entire team. See you next week, same place, same time.